You don't have to say amen, but just follow me. But thank God that somebody can say amen. But it's really simple as 1, 2, 3. The Jews, God's original people, have been keeping the same seventh day, Saturday, for thousands of years. You go to Israel, and the day is Saturday. The stores are closed down pretty much, and everything shuts down on that seventh-day Sabbath that they've been observing for thousands of years. But notice, God didn't first give it to them. He gave it right here in Genesis. What 3 things did he do Sabbath? In verse 3. What 3 things did he do in verse 3? Watch me closely now. And God did what? That's number 1. What else did he do? Number 2, what else did he do? And he rested. Now, friends, sometimes some folks say, I'm too busy to keep the Sabbath. Well, friends, God created the whole world, right? In how many days? And you mean to tell me if you put your mind to it, you can't do what you had to do in 6 days and rest the 7th when God created the whole world in 6 days and rested the 7th? Did he rest the 7th because he needed rest? Or did he rest the 7th to give us an example because we would need rest? Sometimes we let the bosses work us to death. Our bodies were not made to work 7 days a week, friends. We need rest. Somebody say rest. Rest. Somebody say it again, rest. Rest. Now let me say this. God did 3 things. He blessed, he rested, he sanctified, right? Did he do this to every day? Did God make every day holy? Watch me closely. Most educated preachers will tell you that Saturday is the 7th day. They will. But they will say it was changed after the cross because Christ rose on that day. Have you heard that before? If you heard it before, let me see your hand. Have you heard that before? But that is not found in the Bible. Thank God he rose. Amen. But nowhere in the Bible did he say, replace my Sabbath and forget about my Sabbath because I rose. Thank God he rose. Amen. But God asks us to do something that he does make plain. Exodus 20 and verse 8. Right after Genesis. Now you pray, if this is new to you, you pray right now that God will help you to see this from his word. And you got people praying right along with you. And if all of us are praying, we're going to get somewhere tonight. Is that all right? Exodus 20. And verse 8 begins with what word? Remember. A better translation would even say, you must remember. Remember what, Lord? Just to remember it, or when I remember it, how do I show I remember it? To keep it holy. Does it say keep them holy? Or does it say keep it holy? Keep that in mind. Keep it holy. Now notice it says remember. Why would God tell us to remember and then turn around and tell us to forget? I smell a rat. Why would God tell us to remember and then turn around and tell us to forget? But you got a lot of folks telling folk to forget what God said to remember. And guess what? The folk are listening to them. But who said Matthew, the 28th chapter, verse 1. If man says God now wants us to forget about it, we ought to be able to find it in the Bible. Do you agree? All right. If somebody's sleeping, tell them, wake up. Jesus is coming, amen. All right, he is coming, amen. So we really need to know what's going on in his word so that we can be ready, because just before he comes, everybody must know about this subject. Matthew 28, verse 1, first book in the New Testament, 1449 of the Seminar Bibles. All right, help us, Jesus, tonight. Now, if there has been a change, then we ought to know about it from the Word, right? Matthew 28, verse 1, in the what? The end of the Sabbath, as it began to do what? Came Mary Magdalene and other Mary to do what? Now look at verse 6. He is what? But he is what? Risen. Now this is talking about resurrection morning. Christians call that Easter what? The Bible calls it the first day of the week in verse 1. So in verse 1 you see 2 days. You see the end of the Sabbath and you see the first day of the week. 2 different days. 2 different days. You see that? So when the first day of the week comes, Sunday, Sabbath is over. True or false? Now, if there was a change, if all of a sudden the first day of the week is now holy, don't you think that Matthew would have told us? This right here was written by Matthew 6 years after the cross. 6 years after the cross. And he's still separating the first day from the Sabbath, which is the 7th day. Are you with me, friends? 6 years after. There's not even one implication of a change. Now, go to the right. Go to Mark, the very next book. Go to Mark 16, 1 and 2. Are you with me, friends? Mark 16, 1 and 2. We're going to show some stuff tonight here. Mark 16, 1 and 2. Now let's see what's going on here. Now this might blow some of your minds here. Watch this. Do you have it, friends? Amen. And when the Sabbath was what? Uh-oh. Mary Magdalene, other Mary, brother James Salome came and anointed him and so forth. Verse 2. And very early in the morning, the what? All right, came to sepulchre. And then in verse 6 again, the last part, it says he's not here. He is what? He's risen. You see that? In verse 6, he is risen, he's not here, the last part of verse 6. So, friends, you see 2 days here again. The Sabbath in verse 1 was what? Past. And then you have the first day of the week. So when Sunday comes, the Sabbath is already over. The day that God blessed, rest, and sanctified is already over when Sunday comes. That's not popular, but it's true, friends. And I see 2 days here and not even an implication that the first day is now the Sabbath. Mark separates the two. He says the Sabbath is past and then you have the first day. And Mark wrote this 10 years after Christ died. 10 years after Christ died. If there was a change, don't you think Mark would have known about it? He's still saying the Sabbath is the Sabbath and the first day is the first day. 10 years after the cross. So why are folks saying that after the cross it was changed? Are you with me, friends? Now go to the very next book. Go to Luke, the very next book to the right. Go to Luke, Luke 23. Very next book, Luke 23. Are you with me, friends? Now, friends, the Lord's already prepared some of you to hear this, because this means something important to him. And if it's important to him, it needs to be important to us. Amen?